I have a question for all of you. Have you ever felt like certain foods and eating habits just don't work for you anymore as you get older? Maybe foods you were loving in your 20s are now suddenly making you feel sluggish, bloated, and even craving more throughout the day. I've totally been there, and it has led me to make some real changes and transformations in my diet and in the foods that I am choosing. My name is Kelsey Rose. I have been in the wellness and fitness industry for over a decade, but it hasn't been until the last couple of years, now I'm in my early 30s, that I truly just feel so in tune with my body, and I feel hotter, I feel leaner, I feel smarter with my choices as I continue to get older. So today I am sharing the top 5 things I stopped eating and diet habits that I changed in my 30s that have helped me tone up, slim down, and feel more energized throughout my days. And trust me, it makes a huge difference. It is not about extreme dieting. It isn't about doing the most. It's about making simple changes that fit with you and your lifestyle that will help you feel like the best, strongest, leanest version of you. That is what I'm all about, and that is what I do for thousands of women all around the world on a daily basis. I help them feel their very best. So if you're curious about what I ditched and why, stick around because I am going to dive into all of it. Let's begin. One of the first habits that I started implementing that completely changed the game for me was beginning to have coffee after I eat. In my late 20s, I was intermittent fasting. I was having coffee, black coffee, 6 a.m. right when I woke up before I started working with clients. And after a year and a half, 2 years of doing this, I began to feel the side effects and the major detriment that it started to play on my digestive system. I didn't even realize I was doing it. I thought that intermittent fasting and having black coffee was completely fine because at the time it was the trend and it's what people were doing to lose weight and to ultimately try to feel their best. So I gave it a shot, but it completely destroyed and interrupted my digestion. I ended up actually getting SIBO from doing that. And one of the first habits that I started implementing that completely changed the game for me was beginning to have coffee after I eat. And it can increase the acid production in the stomach, which interrupts so many different bodily functions, of course, digestion, but also can lead to irritation, inflammation, and just so many negative things in the body. Once I went to a functional med doctor and I told them what I was doing, we did a bunch of testing. We did actually find out that I had SIBO, and she believed that one of the main causes of that was the coffee on an empty stomach, which also, by the way, spikes cortisol first thing in the morning, which is the complete opposite of what we want. I stopped immediately. I started to change my entire morning routine. I would wait until about 8:30, 9 to eat a balanced breakfast, and then I would have my coffee with my breakfast. Let me tell you, my digestion, my bowel movements, I know we talk about poop sometimes on here. They became so much more regular. I no longer was bloated. I fixed up my SIBO and I felt like a brand new woman. Even now, if I have coffee on an empty stomach, sometimes I'll do that on the weekend if I go for a walk with my boyfriend and we go to the coffee shop and I just haven't had a chance to have breakfast yet, 9 times out of 10, my digestion will be off for the rest of the day, which, by the way, affects our mood, affects how we feel. It obviously can affect bloating, gas, all of the things. And honestly, I hate that feeling so much. There's nothing worse than a messed up digestive system. So I honestly always make it a point, even when I'm traveling, to eat something, even if it's just a handful of nuts, before I have my coffee. In summary, food before coffee helps with nutrient absorption. It helps protect the stomach, curbs craving, helps with blood sugar levels, and stabilizes energy and mood for the day. I don't know about you, but for me, all of these things contribute to, again, how we feel, how we look, toning up, slimming down, and feeling the most energized and living our life in the most optimal way that we can. So if you are currently not doing this, try making this change. I know coffee on an empty stomach can be a really bad habit that we can get into, and it's kind of just that first thing we crave in the morning, but just try and see the changes that it makes on your life. Moving on to another food choice that I have completely cut out of my diet in my 30s is protein bars and energy bars. When I tell you that when I was in my 20s in university, I would have a Quest bar every single day. I mean it. I thought I was doing the most for my body. I was giving my body protein. Sometimes I'd even have 2 in a day, but back then I didn't know what was going on. I didn't have informed, smart health choices back then because I did not have the knowledge that I do have now, but I was basically putting garbage in my body. Mind you, there are high protein and clean choices now, especially in the past couple years. They've just become more popular on the market because I think we've all started to realize that there were no good, quick, healthy, high protein bars and choices, and brands have started taking advantage of that and getting to know their consumer a little bit better. However, a lot of the time they are still higher in sugar or filled with artificial flavors, preservatives, things like that, which we want to stay away from as much as possible. Again, like I mentioned, this is something that I was having almost every single day. Having an energy bar or a protein bar when you're in a pinch once in a while, that's completely different. But relying on it to be a good source of protein for you every single day is not ideal. We want to be focusing on real, clean, whole foods that are going to give us sustained energy, that are going to help us curb cravings. If you have a high sugar energy bar or a high protein piece of chicken with some vegetables, which one do you think is going to, number one, leave you feeling fuller for longer, but also just give you good, clean energy for the day ahead? It's gonna be the chicken. A lot of the times, brands that do have energy or protein bars will also have like a drink version of that as well. Same thing applies. Generally speaking, it's just not it. They'll also promote that it is a meal replacement. And again, when you take all of these like weird ingredients, half of the time, I don't know what half of them is. I'm like, why is there seed oil in my protein drink? I'd rather just have a scoop of our clean, natural protein. Make sure to check out my top protein recommendations on our last video. Add that with some water or make a smoothie and you have a protein drink with real and clean ingredients. Honestly, everything from my hair to my skin to my digestion directly correlates to the things that I am putting in my body. I feel so good. My body is working like a well-oiled machine in my 30s, and it's mainly because of what I am fueling my body with, the choices that I'm making, and the fact in general I'm just living a healthy, active lifestyle. So yes, the choices that you do make, even for a snack, even post-workout fuel, these things matter. And when you make the right choices, you are literally going to feel hotter from head to toe. So stop eating the sugary, high protein, energy, drinks, bars, whatever it is. It's not good for you. We have so many alternatives. And if you're wanting a little bit of inspo on, healthier treats, even bars that you can make yourself, make sure to check out my app Shape. We have hundreds of healthy, clean, nutritionist approved recipes on my app that you can access for free. You can also access a free guide below, so make sure to check that out as well. Okay, number 3. I know this isn't something technically that I stopped eating, but it's something that I stopped doing. I stopped I feel like there's so much suspense now. I stopped ignoring the importance of the order that you are eating your food. This is, again, something I have only learned in the past couple of years, but when I started implementing my little trick, it changed the game for me. So you wanna know what it is? Having vegetables first, having greens first, having that be the very first thing you have in a meal. Doing this in the morning for breakfast, honestly, is the most important. If you're coming in on an empty stomach and the first thing that you are consuming is a fiber-rich vegetable, that will do wonders for your blood sugar for the day. I know I keep mentioning blood sugar. Why blood sugar is so important is because it affects our cravings, our energy, and our mood for the entire day. So for example, if you eat a cucumber before you have the rest of your breakfast, you are less likely to have cravings throughout the day. Your digestive system is probably going to work a lot more optimally, especially in the morning, and it actually increases satiety. I can't say that word. Satiety. It makes you less hungry throughout the day. I know that this can kind of sound a little bit too good to be true, but this has been so heavily researched, especially in the last couple of years, and it is scientific facts. An account that I love so much that literally just talks about glucose is the Glucose Goddess. I found her through a podcast. I follow her on Instagram, and she shares with you so many examples of how you can avoid glucose spikes. Her thing is all about veggies first, and also if you have a shot of apple cider vinegar before a meal, that can also really help glucose spikes. But I think that focusing on veggies is a little bit more realistic and something more attainable that you can continue doing long term. When I started focusing on veggies first, I immediately noticed that I was able to get to lunch without having these immense cravings for sugar or just for snacks in general. It really did make me feel fuller. So when you do eat veggies first, it slows down the digestion and absorption of sugars from the rest of the meal. This, of course, helps prevent rapid spikes and crashes of our blood sugar, and it's actually crazy how making this small little change can have the biggest impact on your body. If we want to get really technical into things, we want to focus on veggies first, protein second, and carbs last. Carbs are typically what contributes most to our glucose spikes. So if we have the carbs after we've already had our fiber and our protein, again, it just really helps to level out any spikes, any crashes, and will give us energy, will help curb cravings, will keep us feeling fuller, and give us that energy that we need for our day to show up as the best version of us, to show up strong for our workouts. And again, we always come back to looking and feeling our best. The fourth thing that I have cut out in my 30s is eating highly processed meats. I used to buy cold cuts all the time at the grocery store to make sandwiches, put in wraps. I thought, and it really is an easy source of protein, but a lot of the times, those cold cuts that we are getting at the deli are actually filled with preservatives, mainly nitrates, to help keep the meat stay fresh and last longer, but it has so many negative impacts and side effects on the body. There are so many better alternatives to buying deli meat. And again, the occasional charcuterie board at an event, or even we use organic turkey breasts for our egg cups and our 5 cozy fall breakfast recipes. Once in a while, it is okay, but by no means should it be something that is stocked in your fridge every single week that you are eating almost daily. Processed meats tend to be also very high in sodium. As you know, that can lead to bloating, and as we get older, the more we continue to make these choices, the more detriment, the more impact it can truly have on the body. High sodium intake can make you feel puffy, making it harder to notice muscle tone, which is, of course, course, essential when we are trying to slim down and tone up. It's also just purely not good for the body. If, again, we take a piece of chicken breast that really can take under 15 minutes to make in the air fryer versus deli meat, if we cross-reference the nutritional facts on that, having that whole clean source of protein is going to win time after time after time again. As I mentioned before, processed meats also contain a lot of preservatives and additives, and this can trigger inflammation in the body. Studies actually show that a diet that is high in processed meats can potentially lead to chronic inflammation, which of course makes it really hard to feel your best and see your results from all of the hard work that you are putting in. The last case I'm going to make for why deli meats and processed meats are just not it for all of us is that it also impacts digestion. These meats really can disrupt gut health and lead to digestive discomfort, such as gas or constipation. Good digestion is, of course, essential for nutrient absorption, which also helps with recovery, energy levels, and just overall health. So, no more deli meats. Buy actual meat, grass-fed, sustainably raised. If you're going with fish, wild caught when you can, and make the choices that will make you feel like the best version of you. All right, moving on to our last point, which I think is so important for everyone to hear. The diet habit that I completely changed in my 30s is being afraid of carbs. I thought in my 20s that carbs were the enemy, carbs were going to make me gain weight, I wasn't going to see results if I ate carbs, and therefore, if I ate any carbs, I would be stressed. And then at the same time, in my 20s, I was wondering why my body was inflamed and why I was never able to actually see the true results of literally all the hard and like extra hard work, because I used to work out way harder and longer than I do now. I would wonder why I was not seeing the results. There's a lot to unpack in all of that, but number one, we should, regardless of what we're eating, we should never be stressed out about it. When we are stressed, when we have fear because of choices that we've made with our food, we are spiking cortisol in our bodies, we are slowing down our metabolisms, and we're literally doing the opposite of what we wanted. Instead of just like having that piece of pizza or that burger, enjoying the moment, and then getting back to, our balanced, healthy diet. I always say the 80-20 rule. So 80% of the time we want to be on point. We want to be focusing on real, whole, clean foods. But if that other 20% we're having a pastrami sandwich and having a plate of pasta, that is okay. Like, lean into it, enjoy that moment, you deserve it, and then just go back to our healthy habits. That piece of pizza, that plate of pasta, I promise is not going to change the results. In fact, it's probably going to actually help you with your results, because at the same time, our bodies do need energy from carbs still, especially if we're working out a lot. But we're also triggering like happy hormones when we are eating and enjoying the things that we love the most. When it comes to carbs, it really is about eating carbs at the right time. I personally love a sourdough piece of toast in the morning, and when I do other things that I've mentioned in this video, like making sure I have my greens first, making sure that I'm having my coffee with my food and after, also making sure that I'm having a protein-focused rich meal. The fact that I'm eating a carb is a little bit irrelevant because my body is doing all of the things to break it down efficiently, and rest assured that piece of sourdough is not going to make me gain weight. It's not going to make me feel bloated. It's actually going to help, because it's fermented, it's actually going to help with the digestion, and it's going to help keep everything moving, again, give me energy. I'm going to feel satiated after that meal, and I'm just going to be happy because I love good bread. And in the morning, I really enjoy that. By the way, guys, on my social media, but also in my YouTube shorts, I have so many healthy bread alternative recipes that are made out of 3, 5, 2 ingredients that you can make at home, which are all also really great options if you are looking for a healthier alternative to bread, But in general, look for a sourdough or look for a loaf of bread that does have less preservatives, less sugar. There doesn't need to be sugar added in your bread, and you're finding a choice that works for you and your body. Gone are the days that I am scared of carbs, and I hope this inspires you to maybe change your perspective and know that carbs are not the enemy, and there are so many things and choices, habits that will optimize all of the things that we are consuming in our days. So there you have it, 5 things I stopped eating and doing in my 30s to make me feel more lean, stronger, and more energized throughout my days. Again, I feel the best I've ever felt. I am the strongest I have ever been, and it's because I have knowledge. Knowledge is power. When we have that knowledge and we can apply it to our daily life, it can completely change the way that we feel, but also the way that we are living. I'm making better choices that actually make me feel happier and more fulfilled, but at the same time, I am the hottest I've ever been. I'm sorry. I know I always say sorry when I say that because I don't want to come off a certain way to all of you, but it is true. It's very true. Look at, some of these before photos. And there is nothing wrong with that, but the point that I'm trying to make is by just making these simple lifestyle and food nutrition choices and changes that are for the better anyways, I've been able to find and lean into the best, healthiest, strongest, leanest version of Kelsey. So if any of these tips resonated with you, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear. Make sure to also check out my latest video, how walking for a year completely transformed and changed my life. That is another great habit to start incorporating, and I will see you all next time.